What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of These Corona Times. This is your girl Tiffany, Dr. Simone, and your boy Brandon checking in for episode number 20.
20.
What's up, folks?
Right?
This is insane.
Yes.
This is a milestone.
I know, right? Simone, I thought you was gonna have your paper and throw it in there like you did for episode 10.
Oh.
You don't have anything?
Man, no chopped
No,
up confetti.
I don't. I have some masks. I can throw masks. I keep about 4 or 5 in my purse.
Unprepared as usual, see.
Oh my gosh.
We want to welcome you guys back. Thank you for watching with us. We appreciate all you all who joined us last week for our episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, what did we do last week? Oh, self-care. Radical self-care in these Corona times. We hope you guys did something to take care of yourself between last week and this week. And before we get into tonight's episode, which is, what is it? Is it
Stand back and stand by.
Stand by in these Corona times.
Corona times.
Yeah, if y'all don't know what that's about, we will definitely share with you later.
Google it.
Oh, you know. Y'all know what it's about.
But before we hop in, the foolishness. Before we hop into all that, we just want to say thank you so much for continuing to stick with us. It's been 20 episodes deep, so you guys must like something about Corona times. So we appreciate that. We are thankful for all the new fans who have hopped on to either our YouTube page or our Facebook page. And that reminds me, yes, you can find us on Facebook at These Corona Times and also on YouTube at These Corona Times. We publish new episodes every Monday or Tuesday.
You know,
Tuesday.
just watch. Just
It'll
Just
alert
keep on
you.
the lookout. If you follow us on Facebook, you'll see it. You'll see a notification.
You'll see the notification. Exactly. And last time we had a lot of awesome engagement because this is the point in time where we all need to take better care of ourselves. We should always be, but I think now we have to be more creative about how we do that. And so it was a really great discussion last week. So if you didn't see it, please go and look at it.
Yes.
And I boosted it. I did a boost.
So more people can watch it.
Yes. I haven't seen the fruits of that just yet, but it's coming.
Right.
It will happen.
It will happen.
Yes.
So as you all can see, we're in a good mood. I don't know about y'all, but I am feeling good.
I'm feeling really good as heck, guys.
What's that Lizzo song?
The words escape me right now, but good as heck.
Oh,
I'll go with that.
good as, yeah.
Good as something. I feel like there was a sermon title with that name. I don't know.
H-E double hockey sticks?
I think there was. I think I heard of a sermon with that title.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yep. So we're going to move on.
We're going to go on to self-care and reassessing the care that was taken. How did you all do with your self-care goals last week?
I did good.
Yeah.
Brandon, what was yours?
Actually, reading? Was it reading?
I think it was, because mine was reading.
Yeah, it was reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been reading the book of Acts in the Bible. So I'm on chapter 13 or 14 now. So that's good. The book of Acts is about the start of the church and how it spread and everything like that. So that's been pretty good reading. Actually, that's where we get deacons. I didn't realize that. They talked about deacons in that book. And so so that was a really good, it's been good so far. And then also I started reading the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar book on the shoulders of giants, his journey through the Harlem Renaissance. So just reading is like my first passion. I've been an avid reader my entire life, and then life gets in the way and you can't read. So I'm making a bigger effort to get that reading done.
Nice.
That's good.
What about you, Tiff?
So mine was to get dressed and go out and do something fun this weekend and, enjoy myself. That's what we did. We ventured to, my brother in Christ, Brandon's brother, we've had on our show before, Bryant's wedding this weekend, his vow renewal this weekend. It was outside of Louisville, so that was nice to kind of escape. Gave me a reason to put on some different clothes because, in these Corona times, it's just been nothing but sweatpants and
Pants and t-shirts.
You know, we just hanging out. So I have really missed, just putting on church clothes or nice clothes and going out somewhere and doing something different. So that was my self-care this weekend, and it was great. I enjoyed it.
Nice. So my self-care was to read, and I was reading the book by Mary Trump, Too Much and Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man.
Ooh, that was a title. Whoa.
That was it's a mouthful.
That's a heck of a title.
Yeah. So I did get a little bit of reading in, but what my self-care really was, and this goes back to what we talked about before, kind of with self-care, is I did not have as much work to do. I really took a step back on the amount of work I was doing. And so I spent more time with my family, and it was good. Like at 5:00, I was off, and that felt new and different. So I definitely want to try to do more of that, and as well as the reading. But that book is really appropriate for our topic today. But I'm going to let Brandon talk about that.
Yes.
So before we get to that, though, we are acknowledging Jay's Bites Vegan Restaurant, which is a Black-owned business in Louisville, Kentucky. And I think I guess the description there is creating homemade plant-based meals. And it's Serve Safe certified. And you can find Jay's Bites Vegan Restaurant on Instagram at Jay's Bites. Is it underscore or just Jay's?
Yes.
JS Bites?
Bites underscore.
Okay. They accept pre-orders. You can also direct message them to order. The food is delivered can also be delivered straight to you. I have not been there because I'm not in Louisville, but Tiffany and Brandon have firsthand experience.
Had some.
No, I have not had it yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
I haven't had it yet, but I started following them on the gram, and every time they post something, I'm just like, I need to go ahead and make that order. Like,
yes,
the food looks too good.
Yeah, it does not just look amazing. I'm here to tell you it tastes amazing too. I saw they had a dish up a couple weeks ago. It was like a chicken Alfredo, and I was like, I want to try it. So I ordered it for dinner for me and Joel a few weeks ago, and it was great. It was worth it. And like they said, they deliver anywhere you are, I guess, within reason. But he didn't give me any limits. So I was like, well, wherever I am is where the food gonna be. So it was amazing food. I will definitely order again. Just put them out there. I think they're a new business, so haven't been up and out too long. So support if you can. If you're interested in vegan food, vegetarian food, Black-owned businesses, definitely hit them up on Instagram, JS_Bites_.
Awesome.
Yeah. Accidentally, because I think Simone's frozen, but accidentally, there she is. Simone, you froze up on us for a minute.
It's still frozen on my end
still
too.
Frozen. Okay, so we lost her. All right, she'll be back. But until Simone does come back, I want to share with you all that by accident, we are actually wearing slaps tonight, all three of us. And yes. We didn't do it on purpose, but we do love these. These are great for your hair care. And of course, we're going to down the road talk about some our natural hair journeys and do a whole show dedicated to natural hair. But definitely wanted to shout out, we always say her name wrong, but Grace, Sister Grace.
Don't even, yes.
Sister Grace.
Sister Grace.
Mr. Grace.
Grace.
And I pronounce that last name.
Not gonna mess you up like that.
Exactly. We're gonna learn the name though by the time we come for the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I back now? Can y'all see me okay?
Yes, we can see and hear you. Yeah, we're good.
It just said goodbye. It shut down. But I was saying
the devil gets into technology. That's the problem.
Exactly. I was just saying I love the Jay's Bites because we're eating very different now in our culture. We don't historically we won't be eating like this. The vegan, healthier stuff. So it's cool to see us doing better and making it taste good. Just because it's vegan or vegetarian don't mean it don't taste good.
Yes. Right. And I don't know about you all as far as food goes, if y'all been cooking more or less, but I feel like we've all kind of been on this wave where we were cooking a lot, like in the beginning of the pandemic, and now it's just kind of declined, and I find myself eating out more. Yeah. Why are you laughing, Brandon?
Nah, I'm because I'm right there because I think it's still the same, but I do it. There's not much energy in the house for cooking food no more. I'm over it, and I'm done. And I don't even do a whole lot of the cooking in the house. I'm still over it.
Yeah.
Yep. Same here. So I'm glad that you all and myself, we did get on our self-care, and that we are hopefully going to get some folks to stop over at Jay's Bites. So Brandon, you want to give us an orientation to the episode?
Yes, I will orient you all to this week's episode. So there's something really important happening in a month, like exactly a month from today, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is the general election. Now, we had a talk, what was it about? It was one of our first shows, maybe about 3 months ago.
Very early on.
Yeah, very early on, where we had a councilwoman on here, Councilwoman Keisha Dorsey, one of our good friends that we grew up with, and she talked about voting during like your local elections.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the general election where the president president's seat is up for grabs, and I think you have a couple other states that have a couple of things that you can vote for as well. So at this stage, I think senators or whatever. But tonight we want to kind of talk about our thoughts around the general election. We at this stage we still talk about voter suppression. We still talk about who you're going to vote for, why you're going to vote for that person, and then for me, one thing that I want to get to as well is, should we vote? Mm-hmm. Because there's a wave of individuals who feel like their vote doesn't count, and no matter what they do. They have voter fatigue, and they're just like, what, forget it. I'm not going to even participate into the system. So kind of just talk through those things and what they mean to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before we get into our discussion for the evening, just want to get this out of the way early. So we know that there's been some news this week about the president being ill. I want to make sure that we're clear that we don't wish president or the administration any wrong. We hope everybody that was in the Rose Garden massacre recovers and does well and gets through this COVID time.
We're gonna have to go back.
The Rose Garden massacre.
Y'all ain't seen that trailer? Rose Garden massacre.
No,
I've not heard that.
That's appropriate. The super spreader.
Yes.
Wow.
The presidential super spreader.
Yes. We want them to be well and get well.
Yeah.
But we're not going to deny it. This is a little interesting that he got the COVID this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to throw it out right now so that we can, put it into the air and acknowledge that we want him to be well. But then also, this is kind of what happens when you don't do what you're supposed to do, friends. So.
The irony of it all. I mean, and I know we agree for sure. Him, his wife, all the other GOP folks, and that have been exposed to the virus and tested positive after having been with him or around him for debate prep, and I hope all of them recover quickly. And like Tiffany said, this is a very serious virus, and you not only have you not been taking it seriously, but you've been modeling really poor behavior for the country, and now he's paying for it. So
not a hoax anymore, huh, friends?
Right.
Not a hoax.
Right. Get real.
How are y'all feeling about this election? About your votes?
As far as elections go, I mean, this has been a different one just because of the state that we're in now with more talk of mail-in voting and that kind of thing, like the process of voting. But this has kind of come to be the norm. Like every 4 years since we've been old enough to vote, I'm used to salacious commercials about who you should pick and why, and debates and, constant back and forth. I will say I think this is probably the most visible that the election has been for me probably since Obama. I think I was probably more interested during the Obama's election. Now it's just kind of like, hey, I know I got to vote because something needs to change. It's got to be different. But I think not since Obama was I very passionate about a candidate. Now it's just kind of like the lesser of two evils, and we really need to get rid of the evil one that's in there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. You know, I for one would like, you know, a third party to come around so that way we don't have to necessarily go between Republican and Democrat. You know, we'd have some other options.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always, no matter who gets in, no candidate is perfect. They all candidates have strengths and weaknesses. Some have more strengths and weaknesses than others. But so you're always going to pick the lesser of two evils. So that's just, it is what it is. But I do want something going forward that does focus a lot more on Black issues. But you know, for right now, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do to get the current president out of here.
Got to go.
I think for me, I agree with everything you all said, and I feel some level of anxiety. I feel really, really anxious about it. It's one of those events where, like when he was elected the first time, I remember where I was, what I was doing. Like it felt like a trauma, because I remember the night before, like all the polls were saying there's no way he's gonna win. And then that night, that daggone map, John King and that map was just lighting up red. So let me just go to bed. And then when I wake up, hopefully we will be victorious. And then we were not. And so it was bad then, because we didn't know what we know now. And if he gets in again, I just feel like we haven't even seen really how bad it could get for America, but also specifically Black and Brown America. And so I just think there's so much that rides on it, and there's so much chaos around it, which I feel is imposed by him because, you know, because that is who he is. I don't know, but it makes me really, really anxious. And I'm absolutely voting for sure.
There's a lot at stake. You know, you look at Supreme Court, things along those lines, and judges that are appointed to a lot of times lifetime positions. So who you get in the office, while the president by himself can't do a whole lot of things as far as laws, he can shape and move the country kind of on his process. So, you know, we see that, you know, we definitely see that with judges and judge appointing, seeing things along those lines.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look how far his reach has gone to impact Kentucky. Like Daniel Cameron spoke at his, what was that, the Republican National Convention week. You know, Daniel Cameron is not really on nobody's radar other than being the Kentucky Attorney General. You know, he's not like a flashy lawyer or anything like that, but this is where your president's potential to reach can go, which is kind of scary because he's kind of on the low end of the spectrum. So just to think that this can impact other things, and, you know, I'm not going to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole or anything, but, you know, who could say this could all be some kind of tie-in to what's going on with the Breonna Taylor case, or why things happen like they did because of presidential or administration bias or whatever. So you never know. And with this president, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, because, you know, after the debate this week, which was terrible, just on the level of there was no discussion as adults and no opportunity for us to really get a handle on what these folks' policies were, or what they be bringing to the table as leaders to our country. So it was bad in that way. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But it's like we've kind of seen what Trump's America looks like. And I think that's funny because all these ads now are showing all this bad stuff happening. It's like, this will be what happens if Biden gets elected, or if the leadership changes. But this is what's happening right now.
Right now. Bro, the reason we have that footage is because it's happening right now.
Those aren't paid actors, bro. Those are real people.
Real life friends.
This is your current, you know, situation. You need to get yourself together.
And I think that what helped before, when he was first elected, that helped me to be more calm or try to be somewhat okay with it, was people were like, oh, well, we have checks and balances. So there's just certain things he's not going to be able to do.
Wrong.
And here we are 4 years. He has done, I mean, he has
wreaked
havoc on just the way things, you know, different, I don't want to say traditions, but the way things
processes
normally go and different processes. Like it was like, no, we're not going to do that. You know, for like most recently, you know, saying, oh, there should be no diversity training. You know, just making comments about weird things like sports events and, oh, the NFL, you know, these sports figures who want to, you know, stand up for Black lives, making comments about that, threatening to pull funding from different places. I'm going to send this group, or, you know, what is it? Not Secret Service, but National Guard or whatever into this. It's just, it's unprecedented. Like, does anybody have any control?
If it doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
So we have to vote. And I know that's controversial because some of us don't feel like we should.
Yeah.
None of us on this show feel that way.
No, I don't feel like it's optional. And you know, that's something I was taught. Like when I became of age to vote, we always went and voted together. My great grandmother, when she was living at the time, me and my grandmother, my mother, and when my siblings became old enough to vote, it was just something we all know on voting day, we're going to go do this together. And it's not a question of should we even vote? Of course you should. Now, do I feel like the person I vote for always wins or historically wins? No. But do I think there's like inherently things wrong with voting? I don't think that either. I think like last election, many of us take for granted that people will turn out. If people keep saying, well, I'm not going to vote, other people will, eventually that number of people not voting adds up. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And we've seen that before. And I think that's the thing that gives me angst too. I see what's happening and I feel like we're in a better place than we were 4 years ago. We're not taking for granted that people won't vote incorrectly, but I'm still concerned that people won't take it upon themselves to go out and do what they need to do. And if that happens, we may again face another 4 years of this foolishness.
And when go ahead,
Brandon. No, go ahead, Brandon.
I was saying, when we're talking about people not voting, we're not talking about those individuals who are not voting due to voter suppression, individuals who are in areas that require IDs, but historically certain communities don't have IDs, you know, readily available. We're not talking about folks whose jobs won't give them the time off, or if it doesn't make sense for them. We're talking about, you know, we're not talking about individuals who don't have transportation to vote and all those things. We're talking about people who are able-bodied, folks that can vote but just choose not to.
Yeah.
So I want to definitely make that distinction clear, because I'm not going to quote unquote shame individuals and put more pressure on those folks who it's really hard for them to vote in the first place. It's not for them. We wish it was easier, but for those circumstances, it's not. But these are folks that can vote and have every resource available to them to vote, but choose not to.
For me, the fact that people bled and died so that we could vote is enough reason for me to go ahead and fill out the daggone ballot. Like, they didn't want us to vote. They wanted to take that opportunity away from us. They still want to do that. It's still hard, you know, historically more difficult for us to vote because of some of the things that Brandon talked about. I don't know all the laws, but there's unfortunately so many of us, so many of our Black men who are within the prison system that can't vote, and it's just, now we've got this whole situation with the mail system and slowing the mail down, taking mailboxes out of
Yep.
Like, who does that? It is a concerted effort to slow down our voices, and it's really discouraging, and it's scary.
Definitely can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all, with everything that you all just said, how do y'all plan on voting?
Our ballot is in there right now. I probably should go through it and just talk about. I've never done mail-in voting before. Yeah. But we got it, and there's all these steps, and I read it like 8 times. Try to make sure.
Yeah, make sure you're doing it right, because we did mail-in ballots for our local election here a few months ago. And I know one thing when we had Keisha, one thing she was talking about is there's no receipt. So, once you send it in, you don't get any type of confirmation that it went through or that it counted. And I think you have to be really careful because, of course, if you do a ballot wrong in person, there's always been somebody there as you about to put it in to say, hey, you messed up on that. You might want to go back and do your ballot again or whatever. So you won't really have that. So if you make a mistake now on your ballot, you mail it in, will it be thrown out? Will it be counted? Like, you don't know.
I think there's a way to track your ballot, though.
Yes,
I think there's a website that you can go to and it'll track your ballot.
Okay.
Yes, that's true. There's a website on there. What got me was the signing of the ballot, like the envelope. You have to sign the back of the envelope yourself, and then there's a witness, and they have to print and sign. And then if those signatures or one of them isn't there, they will discard it. Mm-hmm. So, I read all the instructions multiple times. So yeah.
We are going to vote in person because here in Kentucky, they're opening up voting, I believe, a week or so before the actual primary. They're opening up several locations, and then the day of, you can vote at some locations. Mm-hmm. We're not going to wait till the day of. We're going to try to go earlier than that so that we don't have to wait in long lines or anything of that nature. So we are going to go down in person and take care of that and just get that done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I plan on voting early as well. And going in person. I did a mail-in ballot for my local election because we was kind of in the heat of Corona at that point, and I wasn't sure what was really popping off here. But I think we're going to have some good options open. I want to say actually here in Louisville, Councilwoman Keisha Dorsey actually put some things in place along with a couple other council people. And they expanded the number of polling places. So big ups to our representatives. That's why you got to put people who want to work for you in. And Keisha Dorsey has definitely been working on behalf of the citizens of Louisville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a post where she, I think, named all the different places. So maybe we could put that up for folks there to see. Yeah. And we are doing the mail-in, but we're not going to mail in. We're going to drive it up to the place.
In their hands.
It's right up the road. So that's what we're going to do to make sure that it gets in the right hands, because I don't know. Just in general, like mail's not moving as well. There's stuff that we mailed that never made it or made it like crazy late. So, there's a lot of, what's his name? The host that, the trickery and the shiggity. Tom Joyner. Around election time, they would ramp up and do all kind of stuff, and so they would be like talking about the trickery and the shiggity. So, yes. So,
and I don't know anybody who's watching right now, if you live in Kentucky or in Louisville specifically, maybe you can verify or chime in. But I have heard from people who are doing the mail-in that their postmen have said, give the ballots directly to me. Don't just sit them out, in your mailbox or whatever. We want to make sure they get to the right place. So I'm glad that they're doing that. And from what you all saying with your experience, Simone, with you doing the mail-in, from other people I know doing the mail-in, it sounds like, they're really working hard to make sure there is no trickery and shiggity, which is interesting because I know that on the debate this week, the president was talking about how this was not going to be good, and he wanted people to go watch the polls, and he, encouraged people to look for misdoings that were happening in the polling locations and stuff like that. It's just terrible how he's saying things to create mistrust for a system that I would just point out that he's been using for years, because Trump has done mail-in ballots for years.
Yeah. He's sending his people to the polls. He's saying, go ahead, and if you do the mail-in, still go up there and try to vote again. So he wants to get them to try to commit a crime just to create stories.
Mm-hmm.
And at this stage, folks, this has been something that both liberals and conservative researchers have found. Voting statistically is very legit. There's very little fraud that happens when it comes to voting. So this president is doing nothing but trying to turn a system into something untrustworthy just by if you say it long enough, then it turns out to be bad. So, but historically, voting is very secure. Voting is very legit. So don't worry.
And it's not new. We've had mail-in voting in this country for how long? In many states. We've just expanded what we've already been doing. But with that, though, I know we talked about how, lesser of the two evils and nobody's perfect. But we got Kamala on the ballot and the sororities.
Got Mamala.
Okay, they out here, people pledging out the wazoo. So, I mean, what are y'all thoughts about that? Like, do we think that her being on there is gonna like galvanize, I don't know, the Black female vote, which we historically vote more anyway. Black women.
I don't know how you can get more galvanized than Black women voters. I mean, Black women voters, they. I mean, what else can be said? Y'all aren't the weakest link. Trust that.
Right.
I think it's helpful. When Joe was making his pick for VP, I really liked that he picked Kamala Harris because I think she covers a lot of bases. And one of them being, that she is Greek, it does help because, speaking of somebody who's part of Divine Nine, they come through in numbers for things. So I think it will be helpful for this election is just so important to Black voters, period. Like I would say all voters, but Black voters need to play a part in this as well. I think this does kind of energize the Greek base to kind of vote. I actually saw some Greeks doing a drive over the weekend. I think it was Zetas and the Sigmas were doing something to promote voter registration. So I think it does get folks energized about voting. Kamala's not just someone who looks like us, sounds like us, and she looks like a few people and sounds like a few people of their backgrounds and things they've been through. So having more places where you can identify with the candidate, her being Greek being one of them is helpful.
I believe so. I believe so because when you look at, I think she's going to be able to get maybe some of the younger voters. It seems like Biden has the older Black vote on lock. I think he got a lot of support from older Black folks. I'm thinking, 50, 60 and above. And I think, Kamala, she can Kamala, say it right, Brandon, say it right. I think she can help with the with younger folks because of that Greek, that Greek thing is there. So,
and I really think that for me, when I look at her and her family, I feel like it's really representative of the way our country is.
Yes,
it's multicultural, diverse. I know her husband is Black. I'm sorry, he's white. She is African American, but also Indian. Her mother is Indian, her father is Jamaican. And yeah, they
have a blended family too.
They have a nice blended family, which is very representative of our country as well. So I just think that she is a good pick, and I hope that people will be motivated to get out there and vote.
And on top of that, she actually knows her stuff too. So
she does, absolutely. She's so qualified.
So what going into voting? Maybe I'm skipping ahead a little bit. What's important for y'all though? What's important for y'all this election cycle? Like what kind of topics are important for y'all?
I want to say that I was hoping for more of an answer from the candidates during the debate, although I'm not surprised I didn't get one. The whole issue that we're facing right now of just social justice and defunding the police and really what that means, because there is a lot of misconception that when you say defund the police, you're saying take their funding and they can't help you. I think on the surface, that's what people think defunding the police is. But I would love to hear what either candidate or any candidate going forward has to say about police reform, because something needs to change, and taking away diversity training is not going to help make those changes. So that's important to me now, is like, how are we going to fix these laws that we've had in place for years, fix these things, that this like chain of command, or these laws that happen within our police forces that make things that happened okay. So, I think that's one of the biggest outcries that we're hearing right now, is when we listened to the stuff about Breonna Taylor a couple weeks ago, it wasn't that it was, of course it was morally wrong, but legally things were, this was
they had a legal backing.
Yeah. So I think
insane.
That's insane. So that's what's bothering me, is somebody said before, it's not that the legal system's not working, it's working just the way they designed it to, and that's the problem. Yeah. So I'm looking for somebody who wants to restructure what we see now in our police communities, in training, in diversity, and that, and bringing social justice to the forefront. That's an important issue to me for now.
Yes, and not just in name, but in action. Like actually seeing things done. I agree with that. And there's so many issues. I mean, student loans is a big deal, and how they're going to rework some things. But COVID, like I really want them, healthcare in general, but absolutely COVID, we have got to get this under control. And I have a lot of thoughts about what it would look like if Biden wins, and how because they would have to have that be priority one. And I really just hope that is at the forefront. So for me, like how they're going to do that and being organized and strategic is at the top of the list for me.
Before Brandon answers, Simone, I know you're not going to get this joke, but somebody said that, what's his name? What's the commissioner of the NBA's name, Brandon?
Adam Silver.
That he has the best plan for COVID because he created a bubble and there's been no problems.
And
they should expand the bubble.
Expand the bubble, absolutely.
Expand the bubble to control. Expand the bubble for the entire United States.
That's what somebody says. Absolutely. When the basketball season is over, just keep expanding the bubble out and out.
Exactly. Yeah.
For me, social justice is definitely social justice is the umbrella, and there's so many things up under that. Predatory lending, affirmative action type stuff, loans, student loans, all that stuff for me. Raising the minimum wage, I even see that as something that's under social justice. I was a big fan of Elizabeth Warren. I believe she was very radical. That was my pick. She unfortunately kind of flamed out, and we have Biden. So hopefully he can kind of do some things. And I'm really, truthfully though, I am not optimistic about him, and he's about when it comes to law and order, because he's a very law and order guy. He is one of the co-authors of the crime bill. He hasn't apologized for it. He has talked multiple times about not defunding the police, why we don't need to do stuff like that. And that to me is just like, I'm voting Biden. Don't get me wrong. Biden could be El Chapo, and I'd still be voting for him over office now.
He could be a baked potato. He could be
Elmo.
He could be a Tickle Me Elmo, and I'm still voting.
It don't even matter.
But but for me, going back to what I was saying earlier, I think we just need better options. These two can't be the best we got.
I think that we have to clarify, and not us, but I want them to really clarify what they mean when they talk about defunding, because it doesn't mean, taking money out, like not having any type of, I don't even want to say the word policing, but just, order
protection.
Keeping.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not what it is. And I think that, Trump uses that term to scare people. So I feel like they need to be strategic about how they talk about it. Because those ads where, I know y'all have heard them, where they're like, oh, somebody's broken into your home, we call police. Oh, nobody's coming because they defunded the police. Like, that's not what they're talking about, but that's effective. That's a real good little trick they did there. But we need better wording.
Those are the buzzwords right now. Defund the police is a buzzword. Riots, because they're not saying protesting anymore. They're saying rioters and looters. Those are, I feel like, words that get people all riled up, and then you don't they don't go past the headline. I just feel like people are
Right.
being real surface with what's happening right now and saying the same
Right.
things. I'm like, oh, well, when you call the police, they're not going to come because you defunded them. Like, that's not what people are saying when they're calling for a defunding of the police. You have
Right.
to go.
But you know what? These are the kind of things that we should have heard at the debate.
Oh,
okay.
Could you hear anything?
We should have heard. I couldn't hear a thing. Could you all hear a thing? Could y'all hear anything?
I watched the 5 minutes that I watched, I didn't hear nothing.
My pressure was, and I don't have high blood pressure, but my pressure was up. My pressures, my sugars, whatever could be up.
Everything was up.
Yeah.
Y'all, it was, as Dana Bash said, I'll just say a shite show. I ain't gonna say that. A shite show.
A shite show.
It was darn ridiculous.
Yeah.
You just cursing on here tonight. You just
I know, just
pseudo cursing.
Started off wrong. We just started off on the wrong foot.
That's that veggie cursing right there.
It was so ridiculous that and depending on who you're for, it's been tough to hear other people's perceptions. I've heard people say, well, Biden shouldn't have told him to shut up and he shouldn't have called him a clown because he's the president. And I thought, I don't give a crap who he is. He is the president, but he has been he's not respectable. Why do I have to respect you? You're not respectable. You have disrespected the country, the people, and the office this whole time.
Right.
So miss me with respecting you.
Let's talk about that for a while, because why is it always that we have to give Trump the benefit of the doubt because he's president? Somebody also mentioned this dealing with the COVID stuff. It's like, we don't wish him ill or whatever, but you have to know that if Biden had COVID, that Trump would be right now making jokes, putting up an ad with big masks or whatever, just
the biggest mask
you've ever seen.
Listen, how do we know he would do that? Because he did it with Hillary when she had pneumonia.
Yeah.
Called her weak. Said she was weak. I mean, did it with other people, use their disabilities or use their heritage. I think he did. He referred to Pocahontas, which I don't want to use that term.
Elizabeth Warren. Pocahontas.
Yes. Yes, he referred to her in that way. And why would you why would you do these things? So it's just, oh my goodness. I was thinking that while I was watching it, and of course I'm biased because I'm for Biden. I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't hate the man, but I just don't support what he does. I'm not biased. But what else were you supposed to do? What else were you supposed to do?
How was he supposed to respond?
Yeah. Because I would have walked out. I would just been like, well, this is not gonna.
People are getting on the moderator for not moderating, but I'm like, short of turning off the mic, which I don't think he could do that. What was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Listen, you basically call my son a crackhead. We had to go to commercial break.
Exactly, because we got to handle this right now. We don't talk about the kids. We don't talk about the kids.
No,
he might get stomped out,
right.
during the commercial break.
Right. And I know that we joked around on the polos about how we wanted Biden to show up, with his 750 stacks and ones. Yeah. We want him to come lay it on the table. What about these taxes, Donald?
Yeah.
We wanted him to be feisty, but I think he was feisty and I think he was respectful. And then I think he just, at some points, just gave in and responded, when he said oh, shut up, and referred to him as a clown. I think he responded humanly in that moment. I think he did as best as he could to keep the focus of the debate on what it was supposed to be. But it's hard to do when somebody's talking over you the entire time.
And when somebody doesn't have a good grasp on the issues, which Trump does it, then your goal is not to talk about your policies, but to throw the other guy off, which I don't think that he did. But I will say I wanted Biden to get a little bit more bass in his voice. I need you to get a little bit louder in that mic, lean in a little bit. Because the way his voice sounded when he was talking about his son on the drugs, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yep.
That sternness, I need that same energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I need that.
Yeah.
But back to this whole idea of, Lord, it's gonna be a difficult one. Respecting folks just because they hold an office. I can't get down.
We can do a whole episode on that.
I know.
And you told white supremacists, this is the title of our episode, he said to stand back and stand by.
Stand by.
So
Stand down.
I don't.
Stand down.
By.
Stand by.
No, he said stand back. Stand back.
Stand back. Okay, stand back.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't respect you, and I never.
No.
Never. That is not. In movies, when you tell somebody like a team to stand by, that means wait till I give you the order. Mm-hmm. Stay right there. Wait till I give you the order, and then I'll let you know when I need you to attack. Mm-hmm. That's what that means to me.
And remember, the question was, can you denounce white supremacy? He was just like, I don't know.
Couldn't even do it.
Couldn't do it. He said, sure. What do you want me to say?
Just say racism is wrong. That's all you gotta say.
All you gotta say. That's all you gotta say.
That's all we need.
And denounce all the no, I don't want any racist groups voting. I don't want your vote. Something like that. I mean, I want a strong, hard denouncing. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's too hard. Mm-hmm. I really don't. Because after the debate, I think the Proud Boys or whatever started hashtagging that.
They got t-shirts.
Stand back.
The next day, they had t-shirts made up with it all there.
How can we respect that? How can you respect a person like that? I don't care what your office is. I don't respect you.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And that goes for other offices as well, not just presidents, but
goes for pastors,
leaders,
managers,
managers, supervisors. That goes for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't just be, I cannot respect you just because you hold office if you're a trash individual. And what I mean by being a trash individual is just somebody who does not uphold the standards of their office or is worthy of a leadership role. If you can't do the basic stuff, I'm not saying I'm going to disrespect you. I'm just saying I can't show you respect based off the fact of you hold a presidency or you're a minister or you're a leader or director. I can't do it. It's just
Mm-hmm. And one of the many things, there's so many things, but the blatant disregard for others' lives, whether it be Black lives or Asian lives, by referring to the COVID as the China virus.
Yeah.
That there's been an increase in violence among, Asian folks, Asian American folks. It's insane. But what really got me today is the fact that y'all's president, who has COVID, and I say it with a T, COVID.
Corona.
Wanted to ride in a car with Secret Service men just to do a photo op. Okay?
It's right around the block.
A locked car. I mean, those cars are sealed. They're super secure. Right. So I think they had on, not him. He had on the mask, but the Secret Service had on mask, also a shield, and also the thing that goes over your clothes. Mm-hmm. And people were reading him for filth. You just exposed these people. Yeah. And for what?
Unnecessarily.
Yeah, unnecessarily.
You could have waited from the window.
Just stay yourself inside, which I think is the same thing with the whole how this is spread. That event that you had was unnecessary. At this point, y'all are playing political chess and trying to get a Supreme Court justice in before your term is up, which caused you to have to force yourself to have an event where you invite all these people. You shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. This is you can't be saying on one hand, we have this virus and I know how serious it is and it's bad for us. And then you have events where people sit right next to each other with no mask.
And they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, man. Crazy.
Blatant disregard for human life.
Yeah. That stuff that scares me. If he makes it back in, I don't know what's going on, but if he makes it back in there, I'm afraid there'll be more craziness. But I've heard him say stuff like at his rallies, he'll be like, tell him 8 more years, 12 more years. I'm like, what do you have to do?
He's trying to stay in for the long haul.
And they actually chant that. What is wrong with y'all?
They're sheep. Come out of her.
Now listen, I don't know if y'all want to go there, but what we gonna do with don't add us. The Black Trumplicans. Let me turn my camera off.
You can't hide, Mel. You can't hide.
What are we gonna do with them? What are we gonna do?
I put them in the same boat as the Christian Trumpers. I think we're very clear that we don't have any problem with anybody being of a different party.
No,
Person.
not at all.
I'm cool. I mean, there are Black Republicans. I'm definitely cool with
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Right. At this point, I think the problem is supporting somebody who's just outright crazy.
Outright
and
racist.
doesn't care for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And says things that are not, like, I have a hard time understanding how Christian people, no less Black folks who, I mean, Trump ain't really done nothing for me the 4 years he's been in office, but I have a real hard time as a person of faith trying to figure out how other people of faith are giving this man a pass.
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a definite divide there within the Christian community, because when you hear, evangelical, you just automatically think racist Trump supporter, and that may not be fair. That's not fair. That's not all of them. It's not all of them, but there is a sect. I mean, some of these, the 700 Club folks, like some of them, you know what I'm talking about.
You still watch that, Simone? You still watching that?
No, I don't watch it. I do not, but I know who they are. And it's just like, I don't know how you can say that you are a follower of Christ and go along with this man.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I don't want to
get 2 Corinthians.
The 2 Corinths. I don't want to get us canceled, but that's on TBN too. I mean,
I know it. Yeah.
That's I'm not gonna say it's on Hope, but I know it's on TBN where they've had folks who are in strong support of what the president is doing, and I get that they disagree. They agree with him on certain things about maybe where he stands with the concept of family and marriage, or abortion and pro-life or whatever. That's where they're trying to find common ground with him on. But I just don't understand at the end of the day how you can be for somebody who wants to grab women by their parts. I don't know how women can vote for him after he says some of the stuff that he says. I don't know how women can vote for him after learning about Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. How can you still do this?
Yeah, I know.
He's wild.
So many other strange things. Some of which I feel like I shouldn't say, so I won't. But yeah, there's been some questionable statements made, when you make statements about your own offspring. It just makes me wonder what is really going on in your mind. So,
and again, we don't have beef with Republicans.
No. My grandparents are Republican. On my dad's side, they're Republican.
No beef. Yeah. You just so you have Republican friends, Simone?
Family.
Somewhere. I have family, and I do have family. And I don't have an issue with that. But it's just the Trumplicant. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't get how, because if it was any other Republican candidate, I mean,
sure.
I mean, it wouldn't be no big thing to me. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I don't know, man. When I look at Black folks that ride hard for Trump, I just be like, how much are they paying you? Like,
let me tell you, Herman Cain paid with his life.
He did,
man.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
and we don't know if he got it from the rally, but still, it seemed like maybe he could have.
Mm-hmm. That's in no way, shape, or form a joke on Herman Cain, because no loss of life is a joke.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing some of the consequences of following the current administration. And it can be the consequences can include death.
That's real. I heard on the DNC week, they had a lot of people talking who were Republican and they were endorsing Biden, but they had some families of folks who have been impacted by COVID. And one of the young ladies said that her father died of COVID, and he contracted COVID because he believed what the president was telling him about it not being that serious, not being that deep, and went out to, I think, did karaoke at a club or whatever and got sick shortly thereafter. And it's just like, when you're in leadership, you have to be careful of the messages that you're sending out to folks, which is why it's so ironic that somebody who has, done everything possible to get COVID themselves finally has come across COVID. You know, even though he's up there telling us as the American people what we're supposed to be doing. He's got doctors, he's got top doctors, top scientists telling him what we should be doing. And this man ends up getting COVID. It's like you have the messages that you're putting out to folks are extremely important, which is why you can't be using these dog whistles. You can't be saying one thing and doing another things because people are watching you. You know, they're following you. And people do that because you are the president. They think you know what you're talking about. So you have to be really careful with your seat and with your responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. And I think people, as it relates to COVID, I think you have to really remember who he is. He has access to the best care in the world. I think right now he's getting
the best.
drugs that nobody else in the world has gotten. And so you can't necessarily do what he does.
Right.
Like, we don't have the same access. They say I got COVID. They're gonna tell me, okay, well, can you breathe? Okay, we'll go home. I'm not going to Walter Reed.
Right.
And we can't even go to Mayo Clinic. I mean, like, it's
right.
No.
Can't even get a well check now.
They're gonna be like, come in if you have really bad symptoms.
If not, isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I know that we are getting to our time, but I think the point here is that we just want folks to vote. We want people to vote. Let your voice be heard. Like, what does it hurt? Just do it. It just takes a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no matter who you vote for, go do your research. I'm a firm believer in studying to show yourself approved. Know what you're voting for, what you're getting into when you're backing a candidate. That's very important to know where they stand and make sure at the end of the day that their stance on things is well with your soul. And if that's how you feel, vote your pleasure. Definitely not telling you how to vote by any means. Just be informed on what you're doing.
Be an informed voter, folks.
Yeah.
Y'all may already know this, but when I was voting here in North Carolina, I don't have the website, but there was a website where I could go and they had every person that was on the ballot on this website, so I could go and read about each one of them. So everything was in one spot. Okay. My assumption is that, I don't know if every state, I assume every state has something like that, but it was very helpful to me because there's so much stuff on there that I don't even know, judges and school board.
Well, the laws on there too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was really helpful to be able to use it as a resource. And that was my first time ever doing that.
Ma'am, I'm afraid to ask this because I don't want it to take us far away, but is Kanye on your ballot?
Oh my God.
He is not, but I know he's on y'all's ballot. I know. There's your third party right there, Brand. There you go. Kanye's got you. Okay.
How we get two crazy men on these ballots, man? I don't know.
I know.
Man.
This is some mess.
So with that being said, we're just saying vote and do your research and don't take it for granted because there's a reason that they don't want us to vote. There's a reason. So if they're working this hard to get us to not vote, then we have to work even harder to make sure our voice is heard.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I was thinking about that when Brandon was talking about, was it you or Brandon that were mentioning all the folks that were locked up and the laws against felons voting. I mean, if you look at the prison makeup, it's a lot of people of color. Yeah. And once they get out, their voting rights are not always restored. So,
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
The system is working exactly like one of y'all said, exactly how they want it to. And we have to vote in a way where we will have power to reverse that.
Change the system.
Also, I'm going to just put this out there. I know during the primaries, there was issues with the polls closing too early. Like that does not need to happen. We need polls open in a
24 hours
world. 24 hours.
That's real.
Okay. Seriously. Real. People at work, they don't work 9 to 5 all the time.
Oh, second shift, third shift, first shift. Keep it open 24/7.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Brandon, did you say fourth shift?
Third shift.
Third, fourth, and fifth, whatever shift.
7th shift, 8th shift, whatever. Whatever you working.
Right. So y'all want to transition into self-care as we continue to have to navigate this crazy world?
Yeah.
Sure. Brandon, what you got for self-care?
Continued reading in bedtime.
I think you do need to go to bed.
Hey, It is definitely bedtime in my house.
Wish you had taken the day off now, huh?
I should have taken. In hindsight, I should have taken the day off.
I thought about it. I was like, I don't know how Brandon's gonna get on these Corona times tonight, because that's a full day for him.
Full day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Been
Poor
going
Brandon.
since 7 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say we rag on Brandon a lot, but he be putting in work on Sundays, and then he comes and does his sessions, and then spends time with his family, and then comes and gets on does Corona time. So we give you a hard time, but we appreciate you being here.
Y'all do give me a hard time.
For sure,
You deserve it.
Such a backhanded compliment.
I know it.
Can't let the niceness linger too long. That's all right. For me, I'm going to continue reading, and I am going to continue not doing as much work after hours. So that'll be my self-care.
Yeah. For me, I got a new toy.
Oh, shoot. Those are so dope. I love those.
Yeah. So I'm going to play with this a little bit this week. Also going to continue to keep on my schedule, which has been working out well. I was in the office a few days last week, and that was very helpful to kind of spread out and have the space and the quiet. The drive in and out are amazing sometimes. So I'm going to try to make sure that happens again this week going forward.
All right.
Yep. So with that said, everybody, we want you guys to make sure you go vote however you're going to vote. Yeah. Between now and November 3rd, make sure you do your homework and mail your ballots in or go in person, but make sure you be safe. Wash your hands in these Corona times.
Wear your mask.
Yes.
Wear your mask.
Stay away from people. Back up.
Please stay away from folks. Please social distance. Don't find yourself in a Rose Garden massacre situation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no super spreaders. No super spreaders on our watch. But also don't forget to, like, comment, and share. Find us on Facebook and also YouTube. We want to hear what you all have to say. So I'm excited about the live stream, because we have had a lot of really great engagement. So check us out.
Yep. And you got any final words, Brandon?
Be safe. All I got is be safe.
I tried to give him the platform so he can do what he want to do. He gonna say, be safe.
Be safe. Wear your mask. Wear your mask and wash your hands.
Yep.
Yes.
All I got for you.
There we go.
And it's still justice for Breonna Taylor. Don't forget that.
Yes. All day, every day.
Always and forever.
Yep. And you know what? We remain yours, guys.
We still remain yours.
Yeah.
Always.
5 months in, we still remain yours.
Yeah. All right. Holla.
Holla.